Fresno night crawlers are a grotesque and unsettling cryptid, a mystery that has chilled the bones of those who dare to speak of it. First captured on CCTV footage in Fresno, California, these strange creatures are unlike anything ever seen before. Tall, unnaturally thin, and hauntingly pale, they appear to have long, spindly legs that seem to stretch on forever, their movement unnatural, almost like they glide through the air. The footage, grainy and eerie, shows two of these nightmarish figures moving silently through the darkened streets, their shapes disturbing in their simplicity. They resemble nothing more than a pair of white, tattered pants, walking on their own, with no body, no face, just long, dangling legs that bend and sway with a chilling fluidity. Locals who have ventured into the area where the creatures were spotted report a pervasive, suffocating sense of dread. Some say they feel watched, as though the night crawlers are always just out of sight, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves again. The sighting of these bizarre beings seems to be a harbinger of something far more sinister, something that cannot be explained by logic or science. Is it an ancient, unseen creature, a twisted interdimensional being, or something more malevolent, biding its time in the dark corners of the world? Whatever the truth, the Fresno night crawlers remain an enigma, a terrifying reminder that some things are best left unexplained. The legend of the Frozen Hill people is one of the most chilling tales to emerge from the snow-covered hills of Bridgewater Corners, Vermont. It dates back to December 21st, 1887, when a poor farming family, isolated by the unforgiving wilderness, disappeared into the bleak winter landscape. Struggling with poverty, the family was forced to endure harsh, unrelenting winters in their humble cabin. But on that fateful winter night, a mysterious cold swept through the hills, colder than anything anyone had ever experienced. Neighbors in nearby settlements spoke of hearing strange, bone-chilling search party finally made its way to the family's cabin, they found something unimaginable. The family, father, mother, and children, were discovered frozen, their bodies eerily preserved in time, as if the cold had stolen their very souls. But it wasn't just the unnatural frost that unnerved the rescuers. It was their faces. The frozen expressions of horror etched into their features seemed to suggest something far worse had happened before their bodies succumbed to the cold. Their eyes were wide open, locked in a silent scream. Some say the family never died, but were trapped in a nightmarish, endless sleep, cursed by an ancient force that still haunts the hills. On moonless nights, locals claim to hear faint whispers carried by the wind, agonized voices of the frozen hill people, waiting for release, their fate sealed by the icy grip of the mountain's curse.
In the chilling legend of the Buckley family, an old, grainy photograph captures a haunting moment that still terrifies those who see it. The black and white image shows two children, a boy and a girl, standing eerily still, their faces expressionless, eyes empty and dark. But beneath this innocent appearance lies a sinister tale, a Halloween night turned nightmare. According to the legend, the Buckley children were quiet and reserved, hardly ever speaking to anyone but each other. On one Halloween night, however, their mother mysteriously disappeared. Neighbours grew suspicious, noticing that the house remained dark and silent, an unsettling quiet hovering over it. Days later, the truth was discovered in a twisted, horrific scene, their mother's body hidden away, with chilling evidence suggesting that the children had murdered her in cold blood. When questioned, the Buckley children claimed they did it for fun, their voices chillingly devoid of remorse. The police could find no rational motive, only a dark emptiness in the children's eyes, a void that seemed to stare right back at them, leaving officers uneasy. It's said that the Buckley children were taken away, their fate unknown, but the photograph remained, a disturbing reminder of that night. Some say that if you look into the children's eyes for too long, you'll feel an inexplicable darkness creeping over you, as though their eerie, hollow stare is reaching out, threatening to pull you into their twisted world. To this day, that haunting image is said to resurface occasionally, appearing in random places, as if the Buckley children are still watching, waiting, perhaps seeking a new victim to haunt. Those who've seen it say the cold, empty stare never leaves them, a terrifying reminder of innocence twisted into something monstrous, lingering just beyond the frame. In the dark corners of Fairfax County, Virginia, lurks a tale so twisted it leaves a chill, even in the bravest hearts. The legend of the Bunny Man is whispered in hushed tones, a haunting memory of the night he first appeared, a figure in a ragged, filthy rabbit costume, eyes blazing with madness, clutching an axe. It began in 1970, on a cold October night. A young couple parked their car near an old bridge, hoping for a quiet moment alone. Suddenly, they heard a scraping sound, metal dragging against stone, then a bone-chilling voice snarling, "Get off my land." In the dim light, they saw him, the Bunny Man. He lifted his axe high, and with a swift, furious swing, shattered their windshield. Shrieking, the couple sped off, but the image of the crazed man, fur-matted with dirt and blood, etched itself into their minds. Since that night, stories have spread, each one more horrifying than the last. Some say he's the ghost of an escaped asylum patient who hides in the woods, haunting the county in search of revenge. Others claim he's a restless spirit, doomed to stalk the shadows forever, fueled by a rage he can't control. They say that if you dare to visit the bridge at midnight, you might hear the sound of his axe scraping the ground, his ghostly form lingering in the shadows, waiting for another soul to claim. People swear they've seen him, his silhouette under the moonlight, his eyes gleaming from the depths of the forest. And one thing is certain: once you see the Bunny Man, you'll never forget the sight of his axe, the echo of his growl, or the terror that will haunt your dreams.
In the murky depths of the Pacific coast, beneath waves that hide countless mysteries, lurks a creature known to locals as Cadborosaurus, or simply Caddy. Tales of this monstrous sea serpent have haunted the people of British Columbia for generations. Dark, fearsome, and elusive, Caddy is said to dwell in the cold, shadowy waters of Cadboro Bay, emerging only when least expected to send shivers down the spines of those who dare venture too close. Those who claim to have seen Caddy describe it as a long, sinuous beast, its body twisting and coiling through the water with terrifying grace. Its head, reptilian and cold, rises silently from the waves, eyes glinting with a predatory intelligence, as if sizing up its next victim. The creature's mouth, lined with razor-sharp teeth, opens in a silent scream, promising a swift end to anything that crosses its path. Witnesses say that, at night, its scales reflect a ghostly shimmer, a faint glow that disappears as quickly as it appears, swallowed up by the ocean's darkness. Fishermen have reported feeling an eerie stillness in the water, and a natural quiet that settles before Caddy surfaces. Boats have been found mysteriously overturned, nets shredded and equipment destroyed. Some swear they've seen bodies, mangled and broken, washed ashore, victims they believe of this ancient, merciless predator. Legends say that Caddy is as old as the ocean itself, a survivor from a forgotten age, hungry and restless, in its eternal watch. And if you ever find yourself alone on the waters of Catborough Bay, be wary. You might just glimpse a shadow beneath your boat. Feel the icy chill of something massive brushing against you from below. But remember, if you see Caddy, it's already too late. In the hushed corridors of high schools and dark corners of the internet, whispers of Carmen Winstead's name bring a chilling shudder to those who know her story. Carmen was just 16 when her life ended in one of the cruelest ways imaginable, a life stolen by her so-called friends and left to fester in the shadows of a sewer drain. One cold gray afternoon, Carmen's classmates cornered her by an old sewer. Teasing turned into shoving, and a sudden push sent her tumbling into the darkness below. The fall was brutal. She landed neck first on the cold, damp concrete, her final scream swallowed by the depths of the sewer. Her friends, faces pale with shock, ran, never confessing what they'd done. They claimed it was an accident, just a prank gone wrong. But the truth was much darker. Now, they say Carmen's spirit wanders, restless and vengeful, seeking justice for the betrayal she suffered. Those who receive her story in a chain message are warned. If you don't spread this tale, Carmen will come for you, and many who ignore the warning pay a terrible price. There are chilling accounts of those who laughed off the message, only to be found later with twisted necks, faces frozen in terror. Just like Carmen's last moments, some claim to have seen her, a shadowy figure lurking in the dim glow of streetlights, her eyes wide, cold and empty, staring as if from beyond the grave. Others swear they've heard her whisper, a faint ghostly voice saying, "I'm still here." So, when you read Carmen Winstead's story, remember, she is waiting, somewhere beyond the veil, for those who ignore her tale. And if you choose not to share it, don't be surprised if you hear a soft whisper in the dead of night, or feel icy fingers brush your neck, reminding you that Carmen has never really left. In the dimly lit chambers of Spanish folklore lies a chilling legend about the Castilian lisp, a haunting echo that whispers through the language itself. According to the tale, centuries ago, there was a Spanish king whose tongue bore a strange affliction. His speech was marked by an unnatural lisp, a soft but chilling hiss that crept into every word, bending the sounds like twisted vines. This was no ordinary speech impediment. Many believed it was a curse, some ancient hex upon the royal bloodline. The legend says that the king's court, fearful of invoking his wrath, began to mimic his lisping speech, imitating the soft, eerie sounds that dripped from his lips like poison. They say the lisp spread like an infection, starting with the nobles, then seeping into the commoners' tongues, and finally swallowing the entire land. It became known as the Castilian lisp, a language haunted by a ghostly sound, forever marking Spanish speech with the king's cursed voice. But there are darker layers to the tale. Some say that those who refused to mimic the king's speech met a horrifying end, found with throats slit, their final words etched in blood. Shadows of resistance were snuffed out like candles, until all that remained was the unnatural lisp echoing through Spain. To this day, in the twisting alleys of old Spanish towns, people claim to hear it. Late at night, when the streets are silent and the air grows cold, you might catch a ghostly hiss, the faint chilling echo of a sound long forgotten but never gone. Some say it's the king himself, his spirit lingering, enforcing his cursed speech on the living. Others believe that the lisp is a specter in the language, an ancient whisper that slips from the mouth of those who speak it, bound to a promise no one remembers making. So, when you hear the peculiar sound of the Castilian lisp, listen closely, for you might just hear a voice from beyond, a phantom king, still whispering, still lingering, haunting the language of his people with every breath. In the shadowed alleys of Greenock, Scotland, lurks a figure known only as the Catman, a creature half hidden in mystery and spine-chilling whispers. Since the 1970s, stories of this eerie figure have crept through the town, haunting those who hear them. They say he moves like a ghost, a filthy, gaunt figure with wild eyes that gleam with something both human and unearthly. His hands, calloused and dirt-streaked, reach out to catch his prey, rats, which he devours with chilling primal hunger, blood staining his fingers and lips. But it's not only his taste for rats that stirs terror. The legend claims he lives among wild cats, moving silently alongside them as though he were one of their own. The cats accept him, even protect him, slinking through the shadows as his ghostly guardians. Locals swear that on quiet nights, you can see him crouched low, his face barely visible in the dim light, with wild cats prowling around him in a tight, watchful circle. Rumors say that if you lock eyes with the Catman, you'll feel an unnatural chill, as if he's peering into your soul. Some claim he was once a normal man, driven mad and feral by a life of solitude, or perhaps a restless spirit bound to Greenock streets. Many who have dared to approach him in those dark alleyways have quickly turned back, too shaken by his hollow gaze, feeling the weight of something ancient and unbroken. To this day, people pass the alleys of Greenock with hushed steps, casting wary glances into the darkness, knowing the Catman might be watching, his eyes glinting in the night, waiting, forever lingering. the shadows, more ghost than man, bound to the darkness alongside his feline companions. In the eerie world of fame, there lies a chilling superstition, the celebrity death rule of threes. It's a whispered belief, an unshakable omen that warns of impending doom among the glittering lights of Hollywood, politics, and stardom. When one celebrity falls, fans and the media alike brace themselves, knowing all too well that this is merely the beginning, a grim countdown until 2 more lives are claimed. They say that death has a peculiar hunger for threes, a dark, insatiable pull. Once the first life is taken, a sense of dread seeps through the industry, thick and unrelenting. Then the clock begins ticking, its silent chimes echoing like a death knell. Paparazzi, fans, and celebrities themselves grow tense, waiting for the next blow to strike. One by one, names appear in the headlines, lives snuffed out like candles in the night. Some insist it's mere coincidence. Others believe that death itself is toying with them, reveling in the twisted rule it's written in shadows. People recall eerie patterns, clusters of stars who fell too close together, as if drawn by some unseen force. Musicians, actors, politicians, all succumb, as if they're unable to escape this chilling fate. Whispers claim that those marked by the rule feel an impending presence, a shadow lingering just out of sight. And as the third life is taken, the specter of the rule retreats, vanishing until the next cycle begins, leaving fans haunted by the pattern, their hearts heavy with fear. So next time you hear of a celebrity's sudden death, listen closely. You may feel the cold breath of fate, hear the ticking countdown, and wonder, who will be next? The rule of threes is always watching, an unseen predator stalking the world of the famous, waiting, calculating, until 3 more souls join its haunting collection. Deep in the dense, shadowy forests of Mexico lurk the Chinex, small, sinister beings of Aztec mythology, creatures twisted by the ancient secrets of the underworld. Known as guardians of the wild, the These entities are said to protect mountains and creatures, but their methods are anything but gentle. Those who wander too far into their realm often find themselves lost, surrounded by the whispering shadows of these creatures, who watch with dark, gleaming eyes. The Shenekes appear as tiny men and women, but don't let their size fool you. They are as ancient as the mountains themselves, with wrinkled faces that twist into sly, knowing smiles, and voices that mimic the sounds of the forest. Leaves rustling, branches cracking, animals calling. They're often spotted just out of reach, watching intruders with a curious, malevolent gaze. And if you catch a glimpse of them, it's already too late. Legend has it that the Sheneks guard their sacred lands with ruthless cunning. If they catch you trespassing, they'll trap you in their twisted labyrinth of roots and shadows, luring you deeper and deeper until you're utterly lost. And for those unfortunate enough to cross their path directly, the Sheneks are said to steal a part of your spirit, leaving you hollow, haunted, a mere shadow of your former self. Some who have encountered the Sheneks return, but they're never quite the same. They speak of hearing eerie laughter that echoes in their minds, seeing flashes of tiny figures darting through the corner of their vision, and they always warn, never stray too deep into the forest. The Shenekes are watching, guarding, waiting, for they are the keepers of the wild, and their spirits hunger for any who dare to disturb their domain. On the dark, mist-shrouded waters of the Platte River, there drifts a ship that should not exist, a ghostly vessel known as the Death Ship. First sighted in the mid-1800s, this eerie apparition has haunted the stretch between Alcova and Torrington, Wyoming, ever since. The ship, unnaturally gray and spectral, glides silently across the river's surface, its sails billowing in the windless air, as though propelled by something far more sinister than the breeze. But it's the crew that truly chills the soul. The sailors aboard the Death Ship are no men at all. They are phantoms, pale, hollow-eyed figures who stand motionless on deck, their faces twisted in eternal suffering. They move with an unnatural jerking motion, as though bound by some cruel force that will never allow them peace. No one has ever heard them speak, nor seen them react to the world around them. They simply vessel. Locals speak of the ship's appearance as a death omen. Those who have witnessed it often report a sense of overwhelming dread, as if the ship is drawing them closer to the grave. Some claim that if you stare too long at the ghostly ship, it will come for you, its crew reaching out, cold hands grasping for your soul. Many who have ventured near the river never return, their fates lost to the death ship's eternal voyage. Once you see it, you may never leave the river alive. The tragic death of James Dean in 1955 left behind more than just a mournful legacy. It unleashed a malevolent curse tied to his iconic Porsche 550 Spider, nicknamed Metal Bastard. The car, which Dean was driving when he met his untimely death, became the focus of a chilling urban legend. The story goes that anyone who took a piece of the wreckage from Little Bastard was doomed to suffer a horrific fate, usually in a car accident of their own. Mechanics, fans, and even curious onlookers who dared to claim parts of the car, an engine, a tire, a seat, found themselves drawn into a web of death and destruction. One by one, those who tampered with the wreck met violent ends, often in accidents eerily similar to Dean's. The curse didn't stop there. The wreckage itself seemed to carry an unrelenting evil. The car, after being sold and resold, was involved in a series of deadly accidents, claiming the lives of those who came too close. In 1959, the car mysteriously vanished from a garage in Los Angeles, further adding to its legend. Some believe it disappeared entirely, as though it had been swallowed by the earth, or worse, taken by a force that would never let it rest. The Little Bastard seemed to be a malevolent entity, a dark force that claimed anyone unfortunate enough to come into contact with it. The story of the cursed Porsche lives on, a reminder that some tragedies do not simply fade with time. They become warnings, lingering in the shadows, waiting to claim the next victim. touch it. The curse is waiting. In the quiet, forgotten corners of graveyards across the United States, there exists a chilling relic of the past. A funerary monument known as the Devil's Chair. This eerie, haunting sculpture, often a stone chair or bench, was carved as a memorial in the 19th century, but its true purpose has always been shrouded in dark mystery. Legend has it that if you sit in the Devil's Chair, you will be visited by a malevolent force. Some say it's the spirit of the person memorialized. Others believe it is something far darker, an embodiment of pure evil, lurking in the shadows. Those foolish enough to sit in the chair claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread, as though the very air around them thickens, suffocating them with terror. Others have reported seeing dark figures lurking nearby, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light, or hearing whispers from the chair, voices that seem to speak of curses, of death. But the most terrifying claim is that if you sit in the chair long enough, you may never leave. Some say those who sit too long vanish, their bodies never found, as if claimed by the spirit of the chair itself. The Devil's Chair remains a haunting reminder that some places, some objects hold a power so dark and dangerous they should never be touched.